or maybe even Memento, just some big beefy front line, maybe even Huston.
We'll
that
see.
depends on whether or not that Nautilus can make its way through the draft.
Well, already we're seeing some adjustments here. Fnatic, they're keeping things simple. They were on blue side last time. They're on blue side again. They're happy to just keep banning the Talon, the Kha'Zix. They don't want to give Memento the chance to snowball. But Giants, they say, hey, we noticed a problem last game. LeBlanc, as it turns out, very good champion, very frustrating to deal with, a Niski special. And so now Niski very much targeted out here. The LeBlanc, the Syndra, two of his best picks in the series versus Misfits Academy, now off the board. The question is going to be, what will the first pick be? Will we see the Zyra again?
Maybe even a jungle prioritization for Fnatic Academy. In the previous game, Camille was banned away. GIA has demonstrated his proficiency on it, and we've seen that the Fnatic organization are not afraid to flex that champion either.
I don't want to, I feel like creative isn't a positive enough word for how much success they've found with odd flex picks. They've adapted, in the words of Soaz, the unicorns of love style. I guess to paraphrase Soaz, he had more to say than that. But we'll see what Giants want to opt for. Consistent hovers over on this Maokai. Flaxish, a guy who has to play safe in lane, but Malzahar, something that was banned away in pick phase 2 last time, now picked up by Giants this time around. And Vedius, you wanted simple to execute, point and click. Just pretty easy to execute for me.
Super easy to play. Wow, I mean, he's not super easy to play, but his engage tools, his ability to force these fights, definitely one of the stronger options in the game. Once again, Memento going to be tying up to a jungler that he's pretty comfortable on. We didn't see the best of performances from him in game 1. However, it is a champion that he can fairly reliably play. And once again, the pressure will be on him to exert some kind of early pressure.
You guys are looking at amazing. I've turned my head away from the screen to look at amazing to see if this is actually an Olaf pick. But instead, Vedius, it's going to be an Ezreal. I waited. I really thought it was going to be a Camille. Fnatic.
Going for exactly the same rotation. Now, this is where they drafted themselves the LeBlanc. Now, do they go for an Orianna? Still available, still a strong, safe pick. Niski can play the champion. I
feel like what we saw, though, in that series was that while Niski had some good moments on the Orianna ults in those crucial moments weren't consistent. So I'm wondering if Fnatic really are comfortable opting for the Orianna here, but instead it will be the Camille coming out. And this is the terrible, terrifying triple flex Vedius we've seen in the mid lane. We've seen it in the top lane. We've seen it in the support position.
We can be pretty confident that it's not in support, given that the Zyra has been locked in, so it will likely be flexed between mid and top.
Oh, that's fair. But maybe it's Zyra mid, Vedius.
If we have a Zyra mid, it's my God.
I was wrong. I forgot about the Zyra. I'm just trying to cover my mistakes. So mid, most likely top in the hands of GIA, and that means the Giants, comfortable to lock in a top laner here, will opt for the Renekton.
The Lizard Man will be making his appearance for the first time in this series. Flaxish has brought it out in the past. And it's often considered a pretty good pick into the Camille right now, but her scaling is something you always have to consider. So, what is left on the cards? Giants, they want to start pinching out junglers. Perhaps Rek'Sai starts getting added to the list. Thinking of other junglers, Elise as well, want to be taken off of Amazing's champion pool. Now, if you're Fnatic Academy, you start banning away those AD carries. Take away the Ashe, take away the Varus, take away those engage tools that Hiku so often likes to find himself on.
Limiting the options. Caitlyn, though, the priority so far. Apparently, Mr. Raw is relatively comfortable with the matchup last time. He did only slip up once or twice. Didn't really feel too much of a reason to be scared up until a few of those mid-game fights. But taking their time. Ban phase 2, Giants really debating what they need to take away. Is it worth banning the Rek'Sai? They've already seen the Olaf hover over. Is that something that they have to be scared of? Apparently not in the eyes of Giants, because Rek'Sai will, in the end, be the ban.
Just pinch him, you know, make his life a little bit harder. I think he can still go for an Olaf here. We saw the hover earlier on, but Olaf is actually one of the few junglers that can duel very effectively with Lee Sin in the early game. His biggest issue is mana, so whether or not he can get that blue buff is very important in the early laning phase. They could also go for an Ivern after the nerf to Daisy. A lot of people were not as interested, but the champion itself is still pretty strong, and when you have a big carry like Camille, you can play around a champion like that. So I think that you still have options here if you're Amazing.
Sets up your melee champions for success as well. They want to pick something a little different here for the mid lane, but for now, Fnatic really taking their time. Ashe already locked in. I feel like no surprise on the side of Giants. Hey, it worked for us before. It was working pretty well. Hiku was having a solid performance, but it's a different bot lane this time around. No longer do they have the luxury or the safety of the Lulu. This time it is Malzahar Ashe versus the Ezreal Zyra. And Amazing will, in the end, take the Olaf here. So clearly this team not wanting to worry about a Malzahar.
It's very true. He cannot be, well, I mean, he can be ultied. He'll take the damage, but he will still be moved.
The worst part is if you ulti, only the circle does the damage. So you're still having a staring contest with a running away Olaf, I'm pretty sure, and he just walks out of your damage circle. And then you're just stunning yourself.
Come back, please. Anyway, blind pick of the Cassio. I think that Cassio is a fairly safe mid that you can often pick into many things. If you're Giants, I think the safest pick right now is Victor. Offers good teamfight value, offers great wave clear against the Cassio as well, and in the very early levels can trade reasonably well because of the shield on his Q. But it would be a very safe pick. You could also go for something a little bit riskier, but I think the Giants are saying, you know what, we'll just play it safe.
Very safe, very standard composition, I feel like, on the side of Giants. Victor in the mid, the wave clear, control mage, focus. You got a Lee Sin for the early game plays. Malzahar overall. This feels like a very standard composition. But over on the side of Fnatic, things are a little spicier. We got a few mix-up here. Cassio, a pick that we always talk about being solid, but not one we see picked very often, at least in the EULCS. And of course, Camille. In the rare cases that she makes it to the ban phase, she is always a sight to watch. I feel like never do we see a mediocre Camille game, Vedius. Always either she dies and does nothing, or kills everyone, and we realize why this champion has been nerfed back 7 times now.
And Kikis is a player that more often than not finds himself on the "why did we leave this champion open again" list. He definitely has a bit of a field day when it comes to carries up in the top lane, and bear in mind that the last time the Kikis went into Flaxish, he played in the Renekton. He actually played Fizz with Ignite. That's where he got the solo kill down onto Flaxish. So perhaps Kikis is looking to repeat that kind of a performance. But regardless, Fnatic Academy, they're looking to skirmish. They're looking to play a very similar comp to what they did in the previous game. And Giants, they just want to fight.
I think both teams potentially happy to look for the fights here. But similar to last game, Twitter is still an option for those of you looking to participate. Hashtag FNA win, hashtag GIA win. Fnatic guys won out last time. We'll see if Giants can even up the series as we move into game 2 here. Very different compositions from both sides. A lot of adjustments across the map.
And the pressure's starting to mount for Giants. They are only 1 game down in this best-of-5 series, but it can weigh on your mind. 1 more loss means that you're at match point, and you want to be able to at least demonstrate a confident performance coming into game 2.
And you never want to hit the point, Vedius, where you're scared that you're not going to be in the LCS anymore. And I feel like when you're 2 games down, there's not a whole lot left to feel but that. But here it is, game 2. Will this be a close series? It was a close game 1, but can Fnatic keep the ball rolling? Can they keep the momentum against Memento and Squad?
Have the Muay Thai master versus the bro in the jungle. Amazing on Olaf. He'll have pretty good clear during the early game. But Olaf, a little bit more of a farm-centric jungler, very much towards getting that level 4, level 5 mark. He wants to get his first base in. And remember, he's very mana-dependent. So I wouldn't be surprised if he actually starts bot side and then moves towards top to be able to clear out his blue. So then if he wants to go for ganks, he'd have a little bit more mana in his pool. And Amazing as a jungler, he has been very much focused around his laners. And then when he is paired up with Kikis on a carry, that is where he loves to spend a lot of his time.
And while Amazing was breaking the mold from, hey, camp Kikis win game, I feel like this may be a game where he just camps Kikis. Kikis has the CC to start those fights off. He's up against Renekton, and while bot lane there's an Ashe, there's a Malzahar, there's an Ezreal, there's a Xayah, they might kill each other, but that's unlikely. I think the top lane is where we have to keep our vision, because it's control mages in the mid, it's aggressive, potentially early junglers, and definitely aggressive top laners.
Meanwhile, for Memento, he needs to have the read on Amazing's pathing. He wants to make sure that this Camille doesn't get that early lead, and the pressure certainly is on for Memento. As a jungler, I feel like throughout the regular season, we've been saying that this is the guy that's been the best performing player. He's been so consistent. He's always that guy that we watch and we think, damn, he really is the shining light on this Giant squad, even though they've been struggling. A lot of the games that they were winning, it was always Memento's name that a lot of people were looking at.
And it's a similar story, right? When we look at Giants in the summer season, it was Maxlore and Knight. Those were the dynamic duo that they wanted to play around. Sometimes it was that top lane triangle. But since this new squad has come, Knight, a little underperforming. Flashes, struggling, and now it feels like just the jungle role has been looking to carry, but there have been those moments from Knight, those moments from Hiku, where maybe Giants can find that carry potential on their team. Vedius, for me, it's rough, right? Because you're looking up against LCS veterans on the other side, rookies on so many members of the side of Giants, but amazing. Rawles, Kikis, even Clyde have seen the EU LCS stage before. Nisqy, the only man a stranger to it.
I think that's a really important thing to highlight, the fact that a lot of the Giants squad, this is actually, they're still very new to the stage. Knight is only his second season. Memento only came in halfway through, even more towards the end of the summer split. Hiku has never seen the LCS stage before. Hustlin, the most veteran player on this roster, right? Like, that really speaks to about the experience gap between these two teams. And you have to wonder how much things like pressure weigh on your mind. While we did hear from Memento that he felt like the performance that they had is not the performance that they expect from themselves, does that really mean that they can still live up to their own expectations?
And while Memento said, hey, I love the pressure, I play better, can the rest of the team say the same, right? Because this is do or die. This is everything for both these teams. And for now, as we look at the early game, it's passive. They're waiting. But one successful gank can get the ball rolling here, can set you up for success.
I think Memento's relying on Amazing to come to the top side, but he will get spotted.
Amazing. Ghost comes out. Camille on the way. Cassio on the way as well. Flaxus, what are they going to look to do? Flash over. Miasma taking down. Memento's going to drop. That's first blood. Flaxus, she's prepped it, but he doesn't even get the chance to stun. He's now running for his life. That's disaster. 2 kills for Fnatic right off the bat.
Perfect start for the top half of the map for Fnatic. They were able to get the collapse down onto Memento, and that's all because he just was a little bit impatient. He had the ward. He felt like that Amazing was going to go into his own jungle, but then look at the collapse. You can see Nisqy had already started to push pressure up in mid lane. He was the one that got to the river first, and this Miasma stops Flaxish from being able to dive onto that mid lane. They want to nuke him down, but they just could not do it. These 3v3 scenarios is exactly where Nisqy can look to thrive.
And Knight, no option to come to help out in that fight. It's grim, and now Flaxus has to be careful, but Kikis not going to flash to extend the range on that wall dive. We'll just back off. Flaxus has to be scared. TP down, flash down for him. And already, this is grim. Game 1 was very close throughout the entirety of the laning phase. It was a back and forth of macro plays, Vedius, but this time around, it's very quickly falling in the favor of Fnatic.
Flaxish being forced into the double Doran's Blade start. Not what you really want on a Renekton in the early game when your whole motto is, I like to kill stuff during the early laning phase. At the very least, I like to bully them. And so far,
if you get first blood and go back and buy a second Doran's, like, that's the dream. But when you're behind and you buy a second Doran's,
yeah, it's all about that context, right?
It's pretty crucial.
Meanwhile, for Memento, he's now at a pretty severe level disadvantage. The fact that Amazing was actually the one to be able to get that first blood, it's going to be massive for this whole out.
Oh, and I mean, if we take a chance to look at the gold difference, you can see the CS number is big, but you can't always trust that when it comes to jungle. If you take a chance to look at the gold, sizable difference between these two guys, almost 1,000 in favor of Amazing, 800 difference. And when you only have 2,000 gold, the difference of 500 or 600 gold is huge. It is.
Nisqy is very likely going to be able to go back and get his tier very early on. As well as the lost chapter. That is brutal. That is so brutal, because one of the things that you can rely on against the Cassio is that she's almost always going to go tier first. One first back, she'll get the tier, and you think, oh, it's okay, I can get a bit of extra damage over her. So even though her trading is very powerful, as long as I have more AP, I can trade fairly evenly. When she comes back to lane, with the lost chapter, along with the tier, not only does she have this massive mana pool to play with, but now she's got all this AP as well.
And a 0.5 second cooldown, but for now we're going to have to watch the top side. Out comes the Hextech ultimatum. Flaxus maybe hoping to find a duel, but it's the 2v1, and he's locked in the pit. Trying to get a kill back on the Kikis. He's going to get it! You don't mess with the Crocodile. Now Flaxus is moving in. Amazing is going to get one. Memento kicks in, but the sustain is coming in. Amazing! The axe drops. That's the double for the Prologue.
And there's the experience difference that came off the back of that first blood. Amazing being level 6. Having those boots of lucidity enabled him to be able to get that turnaround kill, but Flaxish getting the 2v1, this is the thing you always have to respect about the Crocodile. He's not just going to lay over and be turned into boots. He's going to scrap that heap of metal and do what he can to get some gold back. And Memento tried his best, but unfortunately for him, it just was not enough.
And just so grim, because you know, Lee Sin's got a kick there, that fight turns around instantly, but the level disadvantage for Memento costs him. Earlier, it was that single mistake, and it weighs against them, and what could have been a turnaround play, and A lot of people, they don't like the Olaf Vedius. They say, hey, it's an early game snowball pick, but let me tell you, when you're 3-0-1, it's looking like a successful early snowball and a terrifying champion to play against.
Ooh, amazing. Having a hell of a game right now. The pressure is mounting down in the bottom half of the map, but I feel like this is a good confidence boost for the side of Fnatic. Amazing. He has received a lot of criticism from the community right now, but I definitely feel that in his recent performances, he really has been trying to shut those haters up and demonstrate that he can play here and deserve his spot on the LCS stage. And so far, this game, he's doing a fantastic job.
Looks good for him. Now, top lane, despite a lot of success for Camille in the early lane, Renekton is starting to battle back and farm, although Kikis will even it up. So, still potentially an even fight. Crocodile much stronger early on. But Memento has to be careful.
They know Memento. He's fine now. Knight.
That's that moment where I'm not sure if Amazing just ran in if he could have killed him.
Tough to say. He didn't have Ghost up. Knight still had heal and flash. But Amazing is strong enough at this point in the game where he could just run at him and be like, fight me.
I noticed that you need CC to stop me. Have you noticed that I don't care?
But you always have to be careful of Olaf, right? Because I actually had an Olaf game fairly recently. And you feel really powerful when you're ghosted up, when you have your ulti. I even went for Righteous Glory so that I could even easier get onto the back line. But then when you're there and you're dealing this damage and you realize, my DPS isn't actually the highest. And then you realize, oh no, my ulti's one off. Oh no, I'm actually kind of squishy. Oh no, I'm dead. It's just something you have to show a lot of respect for and restraint, because often you do build Olaf like hyper tanky rather than towards the damage.
Vedius, I think we're going to look at a 1v1 here. Black just may just go for the dive, leaps in. Cold and Meek, not going to get anything.
I think he's dead.
Tiamat active not used, interestingly enough. He's waiting for the hookshot wall dive. Flash. Hookshot.
Is he gone?
Oh, Flaxus, you just got the runaround, buddy.
Ooh.
And he's out. Nice escape from Kikis. That was all but death. I feel like a fumble on the side of Flaxus, but Giants, in the meantime, they're taking advantage of the pressure on the top side, and they're grabbing that Ocean Drake.
In Flaxus's defense, he was able to get a flash 1v1 out of Kikis. It did cost him himself, but he's forced Camille back. Think of all the pressure that this guy has been under, and he's still winning out on a lot of these trades.
And the flash may have been an even trade, but he does get the TP, Vedius, and that could be very important in the coming fights.
So it's all around good for Flaxus. Nice to see him being a little bit more confident, because the last time they did match up, as we were discussing in Champion Select, Flaxus didn't have the greatest of times up against Kikis, and now he's feeling a little bit more confident.
He's doing better.
With all the pressure that Amazing has been exerting.
To be fair, last time he did lose a 1v1 in what is considered, at least by Alfari, from what I saw, a very much a losing matchup for the Fizz. So this time around, doing much better. Rumble versus Gragas, having doing fine. Renekton versus Camille doing fine as well. Amazing. Maybe he thinks that's not the result he wanted, but he does not leap face first into Flaxus and Memento. So we'll call that a happy accident.
So now, Fnatic Academy, they've made the map movement from bot side up to top. Want to try and put some pressure down onto this tower. Giants read the play very quickly, and there's that TP advantage you were talking about earlier on. Drakos, now look at this, Flaxus, she's moved down, he has a big minion wave.
Double creep wave, Renekton. Fnatic, they're going to need to get something off here if they want to get anything done. But Kikis, he's the man in trouble. In goes the damage. Down goes Kikis. Stranglethorn's not going to connect, but Amazing is now hungry for blood, and they don't have any way to stop him. He's Ragnarocking. He's looking for a bit more. Memento now running for his life. Amazing just keeps going in. He queues all alone. He's on the side. He flashes. And he's going to make it out in the end. It's just the 1-for-1.
The important thing for Giants is whether or not they can keep their tower alive, because Fnatic Academy, they cannot afford to continue this dive. And so if Flaxus can get himself a tower in the bot side, this will still be a net gain for Giants.
Meanwhile, the mid laner's just scrapping it out. Neither one can afford to leave the lane quite yet. And Flaxus, he's going to break down the tower. PQ hustling. They're doing their best to clear the wave. I don't think Fnatic are going to be able to get it this time around. They're just going to have to back off, and that is advantage to Giants.
So they will get the gold lead. Oh no, they're still at the deficit.
So but in that 5 kills, Vedius. You can't forget about the kills.
In the trade, they got the gold game, which is the important thing for Giants. But this is the point and click. This is what we wanted to see, Drakos. Talked about in the Champions League. Giants play something a little bit more straightforward, have that front line. They picked up the Renekton. And as you rightly said, what's better than a point and click ultimate that can just lock that Camille down? Made it so easy for Giants to be able to get that pick and defend their turret.
Still very low, but as we look at the way that this unfolded, hey, look, he pointed, he clicked. Somebody died, Vedius.
He did. And I feel like You are the most appropriate person for this breakdown. This is why I have you here. I love your replay analysis. And the rest was just a cleanup from Fnatic.
I love it too because it's like the two simplest champions, right?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm the color caster now. Olaf, he went forward. Fun fact, that's the direction he likes to go. Malzahar, he had tried to have a staring contest because that's his thing. And now, back to the bottom lane.
Back to the bottom lane.
3-0-2 though, amazing, continuing to impress here. Giving a little bit more of the gold over to Mr. Rawlez though, as he grabs a kill for himself. Still a bit behind the clock. Actually, no, it's only 12 minutes into the game. Doing fine. Stacking up, Flaxtish.
He's looking, he's on the hunt.
Memento is here. Flaxtish just gonna start hitting it up. Has the TMAT. No TMAT for Kikis means it's a little bit rougher for him to push out these waves. But it could be a 2v2 on the bottom side, as it is a 2v2 on the top. Hustling, find a bit of time. Silence up on a Rawlez, still makes it out. The
He doesn't get the wards.
classic Ezreal input buffer.
Rawlez, like, I feel like you have to show more respect to your opponent. Last game we talked about the Ashe arrows. This time, he literally lost a quarter of his HP trying to get a ward that he didn't even get.
To be fair, if he did not get that Arcane Shift off as that silence came in, I think Hustling Beast would have pressed alt and killed him.
Yeah, he would have been outplayed. Regardless, Rawlez does get away. He is now starting to stack up that tier. Bottom lane pushing in their favor. Have a look at all these pings down in the jungle.
Both teams kind of looking for position, posturing around, maybe looking for a fight. It's 4 members on the top side for both teams. Flaxtish and Kikis continuing to fight on the bottom side, and it's Flaxtish in control for now, 114 to 88. But it's not really about killing each other. Although it is about fancy footwork to make sure you don't lose trades. And Giant's actually going to give up this top lane tower. Not looking to take any risks, not holding on to anything, but they're not getting anything back in return, Vedius.
But I think this is fine because they realize the dragon's spawning about 1:20. So Giant should have priority over vision when it comes to this objective. They can send Flaxtish back up to the top lane because they know his TP is going to be up in time for dragon. And so this is all a response to playing towards the next objective. It's just Giants reading the map and saying, this is what we need to do next, guys.
Now you can see, as mentioned, vision control coming down, trying their best to clear out some of those control wards. Amazing arriving to the party, but it's too little too late. No more control wards in his inventory either. And the Tracker's Knife empty, so no way to contest the vision, but has 50 seconds before the Baron is a real threat. Hustling, throwing down a bit of vision, throwing down a lot of damage as well.
The Void Puppies having a bit of a snack. Didn't realize they were vegetarians. Well, regardless, have to make sure you get those fiber. Yep.
Of course, these are the moments where you're Cly, and you kind of panic because 2 patches ago, Malzahar, those Voidlings would have killed you in 2 seconds, but now they're very slow when they run away from Malzahar.
He's fine. He's like, hey, it's cool. They're cute little puppies that want to eat me. But that's all right. That's all right. Right now, Clyde's just very aware of the possible route from Huston. He doesn't want to go into those staring contests. He just wants the vision. He wants to be able to see rather than have that vision taken away from him.
Well, Niski's keeping the pressure up in the mid lane, and Fnatic maybe shifting some attention on the top side of the map, hoping to shut down the Renekton potentially, but it means the Giants are free to start up the Infernal Dragon. And Fnatic apparently looking to make an impact on this top lane matchup as the Rift Herald will be traded back. And that means Glimpse of the Void, the buff, going to be given over to Kikis, which is a big, huge factor in the 1v1.
This is something that you talked about in Game 1, Drakos. Very much a Fnatic Academy thing to do. They like that. They like killing the Rift Herald. They do find that buff very valuable, especially for a player like Kikis. We'll spend a lot of his time up on the side lane. It will make trading up against the Renekton easier. But now, with the Tiamat completed, Kikis will have a little bit more wave clear. But can he be the carry that he has been so well known for during the regular season of Challenger? Can he return to former glory as well? This play or promotion tournament, Kikis really hasn't been the biggest standout player on the lineup. He's definitely had some great games, and he really has been a fairly consistent performer. But has he really been that superstar that we saw from the regular season? I don't know if he has.
Maybe not. Maybe it's the pressure, the difference in opponent level. Gonna have to see. But for now, as exciting as the top lane is, as prone as these guys are to trading, it seems to become more about pushing out the wave. And both teams just looking to posture, looking to hope to catch somebody off guard, looking to get a little bit of control. Fnatic, for now, that means they're committing their resources to the bottom side of the map. And unlike you, Vedius, Amazing has seen fit to build resistances, not a righteous glory. So a little bit slower, a little bit tankier. Still menacing as ever, and Knight really has to be careful here. Memento running on the front lines. Fly.
Here comes the arrow.
In. He's already flashed. Turns. Stranglethorns goes down. They don't even use the Malzahar ult. That's a good start for Giants.
The question is, though, for Giants, what do they go for now? Like, there's definitely an opportunity for them to move up towards the mid lane, but there's still plenty of wave clear with Niski. You can see Rales moving up towards there as well. It's not going to be as straightforward as Giants simply walking up to that tower and taking that structure down. So sure, you get your kill, but it's not resulting in anything, especially with the Dragon already being taken.
And the tier 1 of the bot lane already down, so the pressure that HeQ is putting up really isn't going to amount to anything. So Giants, they get the kill, but not walking away with a greater advantage. Not really able to snowball here. Hustlin donating gold to Amazing. He's a struggling Olaf. He needs his support. He's not a struggling Olaf. He's 3-0-2. I don't know why.
Yeah, he's pretty happy.
Put Voidlings out there. I guess maybe just to keep eyes on him. Kickus. Hook shot, wall dive, and he's out. Now, 18 minutes in. The gold once again very even, despite Fnatic's early leads. Giants making moves to come back. We can see how this one unfolded.
You can see Clyde, he's like, aha, you're not going to get me, Mr. Hustlin. And then Hustlin was like, well, that's fine. I have an arrow ready and waiting for you to flash. With which EQ very aptly landed. Now Clyde trying to get some vision down. He does have support this time around, so he's not going to lose his life. He's going to be absolutely fine and dandy.
And one thing to consider, Vedius, right now, last game they were dead even. There was an Ash arrow or two that kind of set Giants up for success, to set them up to find some smaller leads.
Yep.
This time, I don't know if they're going to get that luxury, because I want you to look at Niski, I want you to look at Rales, and I want you to see QSS for both of these guys. And kind of the impact of that Malzahar pick. Yes, 2 less people for Malzahar to ult, but also 2,000 or so gold invested in something that doesn't really impact half the Giants lineup. That's
very true. It is the additional impact that you have, but at the same time, it does make it harder for Giants to be able to find those reliable engages. And as the game progresses, things are just going to get even harder and harder, especially now that Kick is starting to scale up. You can see that he's even winning a few of these trades against Flaxish, even though he has a level disadvantage. So once that Trinity Force gets completed, this top lane matchup is going to be a lot harder for Giants to just consistently rely on.
Yeah, Glimpse of the Void, making it a little bit easier. And of course, Renekton, the ult helps so much in those damage exchanges, whereas Camille's ult, maybe not as much damage, but it means there's more in the rest of her kit to trade. But Hustlin's here. He's sneaking in. He's looking for an opportunity, and Flaxish does get spotted out. They may just look to commit here. Do have vision on the Hustlin Beast, though. Leap forward. Kickus is going to go for the ult here. Hustlin can just look for the ult. Kickus has no way to get out of this. I'm wondering what the thought process is, because Kickus is in trouble. Amazing is running for his life. He has the Ragnarok. Body telling him no. Mind telling him no, apparently, on the side of Memento. Not looking to reactivate there for the kick. Arrow goes in.
But
nothing going to happen.
Nothing. I think Memento actually ran out of energy, which is why he couldn't follow the Q. And then Kickus actually got out of range, but that was a close one. Surprised that Kickus decided to ulti in when he had no real vision of where the rest of Giants were, and now he may very well just die.
Here comes Memento. He says, hey, I missed that one before.
He's going to miss it again. Oh!
Kick! Oh! Okay. Okay, Memento, you're feeling yourself. I respect that. You wanted the highlight play.
That would have been so sick.
Kick has decided to back up. That was the right choice.
Okay, so Kick is dead. Now Giants, you push mid, move top. Get that tower down.
Kick is alive, Kick is back.
Yes.
Technically.
But that's true, yes. Kick is still alive and healthy-ish. But the next objective should be getting this structure if you're Giants. You want to get a little bit more control of the map. You want that gold, additional value. You cannot just freely push at mid, so move your members up to the top side. Stop sending Ashe down bot. Have a little bit more focus onto this tower, because you need to gain this more of an advantage in the early game when these two teams are even. We've already seen it in game one. It's Fnatic that always find these fights. It seems to be Fnatic that are the better team when it comes to communicating and knowing how to fight.
And you have to be careful too, because Flaxish really solid at this point in the game, but you have to respect the potential for just this Olaf to run face first into your entire team and to be just about unkillable, and with a Camille behind him. And there's 2 members there, the Ashe, the Victor, the big sources of damage on this team that are very, very vulnerable to these champions.
Amazing. He's going to be looking to try and dive onto the back line. But then you also have to be aware of the Jarvan effect, as I like to call it. Always running onto the back line. Do you have the same sort of support that you can, given that you can run pretty fast? you can create a very big gap. And Victor often considered actually a very good pick into the Olaf thanks to the gravity field. But let's see how good this Victor can be as Fnatic Academy kick off the Dragon.
Starting off, it is the Cloud Drake. Giants already have an Ocean, already have a bit of fire under their belts. They're happy to give up the wind to the side of Fnatic. A bit more movement speed for the Olaf. Not going to be too crucial. The unfortunate nature of the Dragon RNG. But Clyde, now he's in trouble. Over the wall he goes. Arrow goes in, and down goes Clyde. Nice pick for Giants. Burning some resources to make that happen, however. No flash now on Hustlin.
But this will result in the top lane tower going in the favor of Giants. Especially now that they can guarantee a numbers advantage. Ooh, but Fnatic will answer.
Running for his life. Kick back. Amazing knockdown as well. Nice play coming in from Memento. Hextech Ultimatum cannot stand up to the Dragon's Rage in the end. And now it's Knight who has to run for his life. Gravity Field goes down. Kick is the one in trouble. All comes out from Niski as well. Not a whole lot coming out. Knight is doing so much damage. They can't even hit him back. One man, one ult, one dream makes it happen.
Really good sidestepping from Knight, utilizing the movement speed that you get once you proc your Q to just sidestep, kite back and forth. The ultimate damage was truly insane. It's the advantage of upgrading that Hex core very early on. So now Giants, after forcing a couple of members of Fnatic Academy back, they're looking to siege onto this tier 1 in the mid.
Wave cleared for now. Lots of spells being burned. Memento moving forward, maybe hoping to pick somebody off, but no Dragon's Rage available. Just a bit of tower damage down. They already got the tower on the top seed, and now Giants find themselves in a position where they have a gold advantage on top of the double dragons. Things starting to look better for this team.
They certainly are, but this is how Giants looked in game 1, and then it just resulted in one big fight going in favor of Fnatic Academy to swing the game in their favor. So Giants' eyes are on now whether or not they can hold onto this lead. Can they use this pressure to their advantage? Look at Kikis, he's looking for a flank.
Ult almost up. Flash almost available. Kikis instead setting his sights on the bottom lane. Knows that he has to clear that wave. Can't afford to lose a fight with something pushing so heavily on the bottom side. Memento not going to get the red buff. Although it does make his presence known, and it's Hustlin on the backside. Maybe looking for a bit of an engage here. And big shifts in the gold over the course of the game. Arrow does connect on the Rawes. QSS now used. Now a vulnerable target if the Malzahar wants to go in. Tower preserved for now. Flash out from Memento. Can't afford to get anything. Tower damage traded for cooldowns. But Giants holding on. Giants doing well. Giants keeping the siege up. Have to see if they have another opportunity to push forward as the gold evens out.
They're feeling a little uncomfortable now. They realize that Kikis has come back with the Trinity Force, with his ultimates all off cooldown. And so Giants are just demonstrating their respect. They realize that Fnatic are a team at this point in the game that are pretty strong, and Giants, I feel like if you lose this tower, all of that sieging time would have effectively been wasted.
Amazing just going to run forward and try to tank this one up. Throws out an axe. Tower does go down. Red buff makes that happen.
And this is the risk that you run, right? Because Giants were sieging for such a long time, they got a lot of poke, but Fnatic Academy could base in parts. So they could send one member back, oh, he comes back with full health. They send another member back, oh, now he's returned with full health, and a bit of extra items. And while Giants have just continuously sieged, that eventually weighed on their resources. And when you compare that to Fnatic, who's now just gone back to base and returned, Giants realize, oh wait, it's too late. If we continue the siege, Fnatic are going to find a big fight and we'll lose. So they back off a little bit too late, and that actually gives the freedom then for Fnatic to rush up mid and get themselves a tower.
And this Baron control, this Baron dance is something we saw in game 1. It was back and forth. Both teams looking for plays to set them up, to give them small control over the area, but it wasn't these plays that started the fights off. Flaxus leaps forward. Cly once again the focus. Arrow comes in. Chain CC. One member picked off. Flaxus will get knocked up. He will get knocked down. Now Memento, he's going to have to run for his life. Out comes the ultimate from the Olaf. Leaps over the walls of safety. Tries to get more. Cannot. That's the double kill for Niski. And Giants overstay their welcome in that mid lane.
But why is Giants investing that many ultis, all of these resources, into just trying to kill Cly? Sure, I can understand you might not like the guy, and sure, Zyra is really difficult champion to deal with, but there's still an Ezreal, there's a Cassio just waiting, and this could very well secure a Baron for Fnatic.
Keep your eyes, though. Can they get it? Nope, not enough. Knight looks to get the ultimate down, doesn't quite get the Nasher in the end, and that means Fnatic, big advantage in their favor. EQ not even comfortable enough to push in to try to take this tower down. We'll see if 3 caster creeps, a small wave of auto attacks. No, not gonna be enough.
I am very surprised the way in which Giants played that fight. Things are looking very positive for them. Like, go on a Niski here. They just completely ignore the 2 carries. Yes, they do have double QSS, but then you shouldn't be trying to force this fight in the first place. Like, how does the rest of your team support you when you're forced into this little choke point? There's an Ezreal and a Cassio cutting off your escape routes. I think that was two overzealous from Giants. They got too desperate, and now it will heavily cost them.
And I want you to look at the damage in the last fight. Understand that that adds up to the total health of Cly. That is the only damage that was dealt. Everything else incidental from the team, maybe a little bit of AoE from the Dominus that Renekton. But now Fnatic completely in control, from dead even for the vast majority of the game to a 3K advantage. And it'll only continue to grow, Vedius. These tier 2s are all but free when you have that Baron buff.
There's still a big wave pushing in favor of Giants in the top lane. But Fnatic Academy don't care about that right now. Their focus is purely on taking as many structures as they can.
Wave continues to push forward. Still very sizable as well, but it looks like Fnatic are going to back off. They're going to surrender that wave to the side of Giants and set their sights elsewhere, and that means tier 2 mid going to be the next focus. Kick is getting half health here. Chaos Storm now up and available, but the Miasma blocking out any potential engages. Arrow goes wide. Not at all what they needed. Raw is taking big risks there, but does leap to safety. Chaos Storm slowly but surely trying to run down the members of Fnatic. Not going to connect, not going to find purchase. And Giants, if they try to fight here in the mid lane, it may look just like the previous game. Instead, they're going to back off. They're going to concede some of these objectives, and that means an Infernal for Fnatic Academy.
Ooh, picking that objective up combined with the Baron as well. Just think of everything that Fnatic gained off of that one play. And it all came off the back of a misplay from Giants as well. Fnatic, they were just so patient. They waited, they bought time, they knew that scaling was on their side. And all they had to do was wait. And that gamble paid off. Giants, they walked into a play that Fnatic could very quickly capitalize upon.
To be fair, Vedius, I don't feel like the initial strategy was wait, because there was a lot of action in the early game.
That's very true, but we saw a lot of stagnation because you couldn't reliably send Kikis off to a side lane at that point in the game because Flaxish was still strong enough to be able to deal with him. So while Niski could move off to a side lane, you couldn't reliably send Kikis off. So they wanted to wait for him to get to a point where he could deal with him, especially with the QSS as well.
And this is the rough part, is that they cannot currently burst down that Olaf, Vedius. No. They can't afford to expend cooldowns because they can't CC the Olaf at this stage of the game. So
even has a Banshees.
Pretty rough, amazing. Fearlessly running into the backside, is now taking the tower as well. Amazing. That was what we call the drive-by.
A zone, I believe, is what we call it. It was very much just cowabungering his way along to the tower. They secure it. The net gain is still positive in favor of Fnatic. Don't judge me. I can say cowabunga too.
You said who? What? I can say cowabunga. I've never said cowabunga in my life, except maybe in the good old TMNT days. The classic.
The classic.
However, Vedius, as much as I'd love to talk about our favorite Ninja Turtles, which I would truly enjoy, I think we have to focus because Fnatic Academy, at this rate, they're just going to 3-0 the series. We're seeing a pattern here, and it's back and forth. Always back and forth in the early game. We're seeing good trades on both sides. This game we saw amazing, really going off to set up the team, and Flax just fighting back on the top side, but it's not enough. Giants just cannot seem to get it together when it comes to this mid-game.
Nope. They took so many out of structures as well. They had so much control of the map. All they needed to do was get that final mid tower. And they could have started using the side lanes better. Perhaps they could have baited around Baron a little bit more, but instead, they forced a fight, didn't work out. And now Fnatic, they have lost the Baron buff, so their siege becomes a little bit weaker. But look at Kikis off in the side lane. He never has to leave now. He's this big powerhouse that Flaxish is really going to struggle to deal with. Renekton, if he hasn't been outscaled already, he's well on his way to getting there. And you still have Niski and Rollis, who are so strong at this point in the game. The Giants, even if they force a fight, I don't know if they can reliably win it anymore.
Have to be careful, though. Victor, he's got the AoE, he's got, in theory, the raw power. But as the arrows continue to go wide, as Giants continue to fire out these Hail Marys, it just feels like they're never going to find a circumstance where they can take a fight. Vedius, you said maybe if they take it, they can't win. Well, even if they can, it doesn't seem like they can set it up right now. They seem so reliant on Hiku connecting this arrow.
And even if he does connect the arrow, his only target is Zyra. There are 3 QSSs, a Banshee's Veil, and an Olaf ult.
And we saw what happened last time. Everything was burned on the Zyra.
Yep.
She pushed her buttons, she made her impact, she died, and then everyone who tried to kill her died on the side of Giants.
Yep, vengeful plant, that's for sure. Meanwhile, The slow push continues. Baron spawning in about a minute and a half will likely be the next big point of contention. Both teams just slowly back and forth, gauging each other's strengths, looking in the eyes, feeling each other out.
Yeah, well, while they're looking for strength, look at the vision from Fnatic Academy, Vedius. Look at all of the vision around that Baron pit. Giants just seem so tunnel visioned on taking this tower, but at any moment, Kickers can just TP behind them and look to tear that team apart. For now, though, hustling. Ooh, desperate for the last auto, isn't going to get it. EQ also maybe hoping to get the last auto here. That tower will not die. And now a 5K gold lead for Fnatic. And a Baron 50 seconds away means we could have very well the biggest and potentially deciding fight of the game in that pit.
See, now Giants should use this as an opportunity to actually get control around their own jungle, because they know that a number of Fnatic Academy members had to go back to base. Kikis was actually sent down bottom. There was no one up top side because Niski had already moved through mids, and Giants had a great opportunity right there to be able to get reaffirm control around their own jungle. But instead, they gave it up, and I feel like this is something that we see consistently so many times in Giants.
We saw it in the last game when they would not fight over an inhibitor tower. And I'm not going to tell you the odds were not stacked against them, but you can't tell me that fighting against 3 waves of double super minions is a better choice than fighting for an inhibitor tower or an inhibitor itself. And Memento, he said he's the guy. He's fearless. He doesn't care. The pressure, he loves it. He succeeds under it. He excels under it. But the rest of Giants may be scared, nervous. And can we blame them? LCS spot on the line. One final best of 5 to decide it.
Oh, that arrow was wide. Now the engaged tools have gone from Giants. Kick is still up in the top lane. Giants, you have to have some kind of an answer here. You cannot just allow Fnatic Academy to play their game. Grouping up mid will not solve your problems.
No, definitely not. Miasma comes in. It hits Victor. It hits Ashe. The fight is over. No flashes to come. Just a Kikis. Backed up by an Olaf. And nowhere to go. But Fnatic, to be fair, aren't pulling the trigger either. They're content to slow this up, to take their time in this game, to wait for an opportunity to take that Baron. Memento, however, has to play a little safer. Big risks there to try to clear the vision out. For now, Giants holding on to a single brush here. Memento really needs to back, but taking some risks. And now Fnatic started up the Baron. They got a Cassio. It's going to go quick, Vedius.
Ooh, he's already used his flash. Kikis.
Buying a bit of time. Gravity Field goes down. Chaos Storm is coming out. Kikis may just drop. Not enough. Knight is in trouble. Miasma goes down, and he's got nowhere to go. But Flaxus, he's hungry for blood. He's looking for more. Heq still alive, still safe. But Flaxus, he just doesn't have the damage. He can't take down anybody. Double kill for the Crocodile. Fnatic Academy come out on top.
Giants become dismantled. Fnatic Academy, they just use the Baron as a bait. They get themselves the kills, and look at those death timers. Fnatic Academy likely to secure themselves their second Baron of the game, and perhaps the second game of this series.
Terrifying spot for the side of Giants to be. The gold lead continues to mount. 8K advantage now in their favor. And as we look back in the fight, you can see Giants maybe felt like they had hope here, but it just did not work out.
And keep your eyes on Niski as well. His positioning is so good. Getting that Miasma down on tonight, preventing him from being able to flash out of the fray, and the fact that Kikis is able to survive in that entire exchange just demonstrates the fantastic strength that Fnatic have demonstrated time and time again when it comes to team fighting. They showed it in Game 1, they're showing it again in Game 2. And while this team has not had the longest time to synergize, this team was only formed during week 4 of the Challenger Series when Amazing finally joined the roster. You can just see that when you have this lineup of veteran talent, when you have all of these experienced players coming together, the communication and teamwork just seems so much stronger than that of Giants.
I mean, we talked about it too. We look at these guys, and Rawlez, Cly, Kick are Amazing. These are guys who fell out of the LCS, right? Who came down to the Challenger scene. Amazing swapped out for Broxton. But Kikis, this is a guy who demoted himself. He said, you know what? You know what I love more than LCS? I love smurfing in Challenger. And that just feels like what it is sometimes. Now, this time, admittedly, that hasn't been the case. Flaxus has been knocking him down in the laning phase. But the teamwork of Fnatic is just too much for Giants to deal with.
And now the pressure really is on, because Giants, their backs are against the wall. They have to defend against all these Baron-empowered minions. This is exactly the situation they were in game 2, and they did not pull the trigger. They didn't go for the Hail Mary fight, but here it is.
All comes out. That's a lot of damage. AD carry taken down. The miasma, no effect as Giants back off, and they hold on for now.
So this time, Giants, they punish the over-positioning of Rales. They find, at the very least, a small reprieve as they keep the siege from Fnatic at bay. This may very well force them back. I mean, only a minute 40 left on the Baron buff. I don't know if Fnatic will actually break into the base of Giants.
And I like this because last game we saw Rales walking up to that tower, unafraid, auto-attacking it every single second. Giants, they played scared. They backed off. They didn't want anything to do with it. This time they say, hey, you take a risk. Every time you step forward, we will threaten to kill you. And this time, they make good on those threats. They take down Rales. They buy themselves a bit of time, and that means the Baron not going to break any inhibitors here.
So now 9-6 the scoreline, exactly as it was in the previous game at this point in the game. But the gold is so heavily in the favor of Fnatic. And you can just see Rales, I mean, you are pretty short range. The gravity field forces him into a point with which it's very easy to land the arrow. And even if he does use the QSS, the immediate follow-up from Hustlin to lock him down.
Good timing. I mean, if they push those abilities at the same time, if those connect at the same time, QSS may have freed him of both. Maybe hoping now that Cly, the aggressive damage build from this Zyra, maybe hoping that will turn into a Mikhail's. Maybe hoping for the double QSS to keep him safe.
That's almost certainly a Rylai's.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I see it. I see it, and I'm like, Cly, I feel you, buddy. I love to do damage too, but for Rales, maybe he needs the Mikhail's.
It would help. It certainly would, but for the time being, the siege continues. Baron buff is going to end in about 15 seconds. Can Fnatic gain anything off the back of this? You can see Rales playing much more reserved this time around.
Learned his lesson last time. Niski throws out the miasma. Hustlin taking a bit of poke. Arrow lands on a Niski. They get the QSS, not taking any risks. Knight dishing out a decent amount of damage. Now moving forward, Brawl is still on the front lines. Flash is doing his best to clear. Q goes in. Where are the autos? The tower's still up. Giants holding on.
But look at the positioning of Amazing every time they try to siege onto this tower, because this is exactly what your tank should be doing when you need to cover for your backline. Notice that the arrow hit onto Niski, and the rest of Giants couldn't follow up because Amazing was simply a presence. He was a body blocking the engagement of Giants. Fnatic Academy, they're setting up this siege very nicely. The Q does land.
One more auto from Rales could do it. One more auto from Kikis. Gravity Field holds on.
They hold the line.
There are no other lanes in this game left. This is all about this one tower, all about holding on to the inhibitor line, and there's a wave building in the top lane. Giants may eventually have to answer that, but for now, we're waiting. The siege just continues. Fnatic just looking for one opportunity to find an auto attack without costing any lives. But it's a Victor. It's an Ashe. It's a Lee Sin going forward. Memento tries to find the engage. There's a lot of damage. Down goes Cly. Amazing now running for his life. Heal comes out. Arrows goes on to Rales. QSS comes out. Now Flashes is in the back line. He finds the CC, but Niski, he's looking for the peel, but they keep it going. Hustlin's in. That's the shutdown onto Niski. Giants find a fight, and Kikis, he's fearless. He's moving forward, but what are you doing? The hook shot, the wall dive, the QSS, and the blast cone to take it to safety, but it's all a ruse because they buy time for the top lane inhibitor to go down on the side of Fnatic.
But it doesn't matter, Drakos, because Giants went for the fight. This is what we wanted to see from them. We wanted to see them being pushed against the wall, when we wanted to see them bare their fangs, and that is exactly what Giants do. What an engagement from Memento, using his Q to get onto the back line. They didn't rely on the Ashe arrow. They knew that the QSSs would stop them, but you know what? A Sash cannot do, stop the kick of justice. Now keep your eyes on Memento. He's going to dive into this fight, and he's going to get a great kick onto Rales to knock Cly up. So this is when the fight goes in favor of Giants, because now they have a numbers advantage. They know they can continue the chase. Rales, he has to use his QSS very early. They don't care. They're using Flaxish on the front line to soak up all of this damage. And Giants finding a fight that finally goes in their favor. This could give them a big confidence booster. Baron spawning in about a minute's time. Maybe now Giants will be more inclined to pull that trigger and see if they can take it.
Can they keep executing? Can they keep chaining the CC together to stop a fight? It looks like the answer for now is yes, as Cly looks to get picked. Deathfire touch ticking. Not going to be enough. All comes out from Knight. Maybe just hoping to buy a bit of time here. The wave moving forward. One auto left on this tower as well. Giants sure to grab it. Q. Throws out the ball, he zones off.
Finally, they were able to get that mid tower.
But Vedius, there's still 6K gold dividing these teams. Fnatic still have an extra dragon. Yes, it's a cloud, it's not a big deal, but look at those major objective timers. That is an Elder Dragon, that is a Baron. What do you pick? What do you go for?
You go Baron. You definitely sack the Elder Dragon and get Baron. That's way more valuable for Giants. Fnatic, if they get that Elder Dragon, their team-fighting prowess becomes a lot stronger, but their siege is already difficult enough. They have the low-range Ezreal. We've already seen time and time again how difficult it is for them to be able to siege onto these structures, especially the base of Giants. And so if they themselves can get the Baron, then that sieging prowess becomes a lot easier. So Fnatic, both teams should be focusing on that Baron.
Oh, they're moving in. Every time they go to the mid lane, Vedius, I get chills. I'm expecting another fight. I'm expecting another moment where we have a game decider right here.
Fight, fight, fight.
But Niski, he sees an opportunity. This is the nature of the Casio, the power to solo these objectives, the healing on the Twin Fangs.
They have no idea. There's no vision from Giants.
They don't know where Niski is. They don't realize. They don't realize the potential. It's gone. And now Giants have put themselves in the back foot because they are in the pit. They are all alone trying to get this Baron, and if they do not burn it down, Fnatic will be able to find the fight. Rawlez, he's throwing out the poke on the backside. Kickus, he's ready to come over the wall. EQ is all alone. The arrow goes out onto Cly. Cly may just get taken down moving forward. EQ's all alone. Out comes the Hextech ultimatum. The ultimatum, however, takes a long time, but it's so easy for Fnatic when they're locked in that pit. Double kill for Kickus. They get the Elder. They say, hey, thanks for the leash, Giants. We're going to take this win, and we're going to walk away.
Fnatic demolishing Giants in the pit. That Elder Dragon doing so much work, and with all 5 members dead, there is nothing left to stand in the way of Fnatic and a Game 2 victory.
Oh, and Giants fought back this time, Vedius. They fought back, but it was not enough because at the end of the day, it was Niski, the hero on this Casio, 6-1-3, and it wasn't in the team fight that he bared his fangs. It was in the sneak, it was in the stealth, it was in that Elder Dragon, and now Fnatic, they move up their match point. They're 1 win away from the LCS.
Oh, exciting game towards the end there. Giants finding a fantastic fight, but then Fnatic just reasserting themselves as the dominant team in this game, moving over towards that Elder Dragon, picking it up and saying, oh, you want to fight for the Baron? Let's go. We're ready. We have 3 Drakes under our
hold
belt.
up. Let me go get some real quick before we start this fight. And just, those are the kind of decisions, that's the kind of confidence when you know someone understands their champion well. He says, hey, I've been landing these miasmas. They've been good. I don't think we can siege, guys. But let me make a pitch for you. I have an idea.
I have a proposition.
And the thing is they have the hawk shot, but you just could tell Giants were totally and completely unaware in that exchange. And you got to feel for it. Casio soloing an Elder Dragon? I mean, I know it's something that pretty much exclusively Casio can do.
Right now, team, we seem to be struggling. We need an opportunity to get back into this game. And what are we going to do?
Oh,
let's do the Elder Dragon. It was wonderful. I feel like I have the attire to sell you that.
The vintage door-to-door farm sales. Thank you, Vedius, very much for that.
It paid off for them, right?
No, yes, it did. But enough from you and your interesting accents. Fnatic Academy are only 1 win away from a spot in the EUCS Summer Split. Shox and the guys are ready for more on Game 2.
What? We were actually preparing last minute, and then I heard Vedius going off on some kind of a tangent, but
that's what that kind of game will do for you, apparently.
Yeah. What was even going on? In any case, yeah, let's talk about this game. We talked about how both teams would have more momentum or another change of pace after getting the jitters off from the first game, and it did seem like Fnatic Academy definitely wanted to go all in straight from the start. Unlimited, we're going to take a look at the first replays from the start, because you said, I want to see Kickus on a champion that can make something happen, on something that can carry, but they were gifted a couple of kills here, though.
Yeah, as you said, it was really play from Fnatic. It was more bad play from Giants, which Fnatic punished. If they're gonna invade, they should at least push mid lane and invade with the mid laner and not have numbers disadvantage when they...
Yeah, that's the problem, is as Niski comes over from mid, he puts down the miasma and locks them in. Then top side, this is where you see Kickus take the trade, and Flaxish thinks he's out, is safe with Memento, but this is where the danger of an Olaf is. Like, you get him low health, you think you've killed him, not quite able to, and that's why amazing, you know, he had to dig deeper into the pool with so many jungle bans, but finds the Olaf, makes it work in the early game, gives Fnatic the platform to build from.
Yeah, you guys are saying, Koskyu, this is tilting. This is, for Giants, this is kind of adding to already kind of a negative spiral.
I think, yeah, this for Giants is really, really like tilting to play those games, I think. And also, again, in the mid lane, they had like some even matchup. Victor, Cassio, you can just farm together. But if Cassio gets some kills and she gets ahead, she will just carry through in team fights. Like if they tried to make engage mid Giants and it went a bit wrong because Flaxish jumped on the support and then he got some kills off there and yeah, the snowball happened a bit. So.
With that snowball happening for Fnatic Academy, Unlimited, why do you think it slowed down so much? Is that jitters? Is that not knowing what to do yet in the mid game? Because it seemed to me that they could have accelerated the game a bit faster.
I think the problem was Ash Malzahar. Giants actually played the champions pretty well, and they used them to slow down the game. Every time Fnatic tried to pressure a tower, they were waiting in the brush, they killed one person and then backed off. And Fnatic has to wait again for that person to come back alive and to set up the siege again. So that's why they couldn't proceed. And normally with Camille they would split push, but actually Flaxish played well, so he could keep Kikis in check this game.
I think one difficulty that Giants ended up feeling, though, that maybe we could have seen more of a comeback is the double QSS. They still caught a couple of the carries later on that we will end up taking a look at the replay on. But the problem is Giants were constantly looking for the aggressive plays, but we're only ever finding Cly.
Yeah.
And until 40 minutes in, that's not quite enough to then look at elsewhere. I mean, sure, it's nice to get a kill, but this bot lane engage is perhaps one of the only times where they did find somebody. Memento goes in. It ends up being that in the second half of this fight, Nisqy gets jumped on, and he has QSS, has flash, has heal, has everything available to get out, and this is the opportunity where Giants would have been able to get something. But they're all on the bottom side. There's a big wave stacked up top. There's no Baron, there's no Dragon, there's nothing to take from this fight, and that means Fnatic can just regroup when they're back alive.
Definitely, this is going to run straight into the Baron. This is after Nisqy soloed the Elder Dragon as well, and the Giants go for kind of the last-minute play, but Fnatic turn it around and close it out here.
Yeah, here it was pretty free, because they have so much damage with the Drake too, and if you fight against an Elder Dragon team, and you don't with a few Drakes, then yeah, it's pretty over.
Yeah, it does seem over, and now we're at that point where it is 2-0. Fnatic Academy seem to be on a roll, and they only have one game left to play in Unlimited. It also seems like in the course of this best of 5, even though Giants banned out, for instance, 2 junglers to maybe close down Amazing, or they banned out the LeBlanc and the Syndra to close down mid, it doesn't seem like they're finding any answers for draft-wise.
I actually think their draft is good. They should keep the same strategy, at least the first 3 bans. But I think trying to outban ex-World player, like he played in so many teams, he played like in so many metas, you can't really outban a player like Amazing. Like he will bring the pick he played like 2 years ago and played for the first time.
Hey,
like,
he'll play Rek'Sai apparently,
yeah,
so
he
and
can
still win.
Pick anything. You can't completely outban him, but I think if you're going to go for Ash Malzahar again, they should just ban Olaf because it's just double counter to their picks.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like that engage, they kind of need to force themselves to engage and to make something happen in the games.
Yeah, and the problem is both games have had the same pace to it. It's Amazing gets ahead in the early game through Kikis and Nisqy. They get through the mid game, and then Rales picks up some of the slack later on because he's on this Ezreal. I think we saw big weaknesses from Rales playing against you guys. When he was on the Varus, you would just jump him, he would die. Fnatic would lose all sense of their ability to fight later on in the game. And I think if you can do that, maybe with an Ezreal ban at some point, I don't think it's phase 1 worthy, but Rales has shown that his Ezreal is far superior to everything else.
Okay, Koski, where do you think Fnatic Academy is vulnerable, or what should Giants try?
I think that the last draft was actually fine for Giants, but I just think they just didn't play around their comp, and they tried to force stuff without having pressure in mid lane, and it kind of went wrong for them. And I think they got kind of back into the game with the Malzahar, who was catching people off guard. But I think they should just keep doing those bans and just try to get mid lane priority and top lane priority and just try to snowball the game.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I think it goes back to what you said earlier in Limited, that Fnatic just seems to be a level above Giants, and even with a favorable draft for the Giants, that means that they can't make it happen. And when you look at these games, though, you think if the target selection was just a bit more on point, you don't try and go for Cly and you get someone else in that exchange, you might be able to fight back in it. But it is going to be very, very difficult for Giants. Fnatic Academy, they have their eyes on the EULCS and are now just 1 win away. We'll be back for Game 3 in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Go Renekton. Nice job, guys.
Locked in the pit. Trying to get killed. Kickers, he's gonna get it! You don't mess with the crocodile. Now Flaxus is moving in. Amazing is gonna get one. Memento kicks in, but the sustain is coming in. Amazing! The axe drops. That's the double for the Prologue. Memento running on the front line. Fly. Here's the arrow. He's already flashed. Turns, Stranglethorns goes down. They don't even use the Malzahar. That's a good start for Giant. See one member picked off. Flaxus will get knocked up. He will get knocked down. Now Memento, he's gonna have to run for his life. Out comes the ultimate from the Olaf. Leaps over the wall to safety. Tries to get more. Cannot! That's the double kill for Nisqy. Giants just cannot seem to get it together. They just get taken down, moving forward. Yuku's all alone. Out comes the Hextech ultimatum. The ultimatum, however, takes a long time, but it's so easy for Fnatic when they're locked in that pit. Double kill for Kikis. They get the Elder. They say, hey, thanks for the leash, Giants. We're gonna take this win. Is in that Elder Dragon, and now Fnatic, they move up their match point. They're one win away from the LCS.